Hi, I'm Trish. Today we're taking a look at life purpose, missions, destiny, and past lives using the astrology birth chart. The example that I'm using today is on the screen and it is Barbara's birth chart. So I'm looking at an actual birth chart to do these readings. So we'll do a bit of a reading there for Barbara, but I'm also looking into focusing today on the South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius, and that's where we find our missions in this life. So I'll also be using the aspects to give a bit more of a deeper reading to this, and I'll also bring in my cards, of course, the tarot and my astrology deck as well, to give further emphasis on this reading. So if you have your South Node in Leo, then you will also get insight into your chart from this reading as well. If you have your South Node in your 5th house and your North Node in your 11th house, then you will also get information out of this reading. You can follow along with this reading if your South Node is in Leo. Now that would be for people that were born in 1952 March 29th through to 1953 October 9th, 1970 November 3rd through to 1972 April 27, 1989 May 23rd through to 1990 November 18th, 2007 December 15th through to 2009 August 21st. Now it's due to come back into South Node in Leo will be July 27th, 2026. So if your birthday falls within any of those dates, then your placement of your South Node is in Leo, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so Leo is a really exciting sign for a South Node. Now South Node is where you find perhaps your past life. It can also be ancestral lessons or programming that you're bringing through into this life. But it can also be parts of your past life that you need to work on in this life. Things that you need to maybe do a little better, things that you maybe do a little differently. Now it can also be gifts and skills that you bring in from your past lives as well. So it's a place of comfort, a place where you feel comfortable. Perhaps the skills that you have, you're bringing them into this life and you feel really comfortable in that life. Now your North Node is the opposite. Your North Node is where your mission is, where your destiny is, things that you need to achieve in this life. It can feel uncomfortable because it's things that you're not so good at, things that you're not so experienced with, things that you don't feel comfortable doing. But it's asking you to push yourself outside of the box, push yourself a little harder, and to learn these new skills. So with each past life or with each new life that we go into, we need to add a bit extra to ourselves as a soul on a soul purpose level. So by doing that, by learning, going through different missions, then that's how we're going to broaden ourselves as soul beings. So here we're looking at Leo in the South Node. Now Leo is a sign of kings, rulership, CEOs, people with great leadership skills, generosity, needing to be seen, being noticed, standing out in the crowd, being different to other people. So or leading, being part of a crowd, but leading, being noticed. So here we're looking at, now if we were to look at a past life, everybody wants to think, okay, I was a king in a past life or a queen in a past life, or I was, famous in some way. I would say you would be looking for Leo. You'd be looking for your South Node in Leo. So Leo is all about wealth and, a life of luxury or life of, well-earned luxury too. It can be people that are self-made, people that have worked hard to achieve great status in their life. And that's what the South Node, that's what Leo is. Leo is all about shining, standing out, being, people noticing you because you have great skills, you're very generous, you're a great leader in some way. So now I know not everybody could be a king in a past life or famous even in a past life, but it does show the traits of Leo being that, you could have been generous, you could have been somebody that, very charismatic, or stood out in some way because maybe the way you dressed, or your lifestyle, or your the luxury, or your status in life. You done well, you worked hard, maybe you had prestige, you looked good, people just noticed you, people listened to you, they wanted to hear what you had to say. So they're the things that it doesn't have to be royal, you don't have to be famous, but you could have been a CEO, you could have been somebody that people really admired in that life. Now, because we're talking about it needing to be something that you need to work on in this life, something that you need to push through, then we're talking about, okay, perhaps you took it to the extreme. Perhaps you got caught up in the status, you got caught up in the luxury, you got caught up in people needing to listen to you, people needing to hear your opinion, people needing to see you or be seen. You really got caught up in that game of achieving and having people just surround you and admire you, and perhaps you got caught up in that. So it can be a place of if you're playing Leo well, then it's Leo can be very generous, but perhaps you didn't play Leo well. Perhaps you weren't generous with your money or your status. That could be a reason why you're bringing back that in this life. Now, Aquarius is the opposite, on the opposite end of the scale, and Aquarius would be where your North Node would be if your South Node is in Leo. Now, Aquarius is about freedom. It's about freedom. So wanting to be different to the crowd, wanting to not fit in with the crowd, not wanting to be a sheep. It's all about, they want to be themselves and be unique. They normally the unique ones. They're the unique eclectics of the chart. So the people that are a little bit unusual, a little bit different, and on a level we're all a little bit different. But the Aquarius is not scared to show it, and the Aquarius thinks, well, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think of me. This is who I am, and I don't care about your opinion. So you can see the opposite here. The Leo here really likes people to hear the Leo opinion and really admire their opinion. They need to seek validation. They need to, people to admire them and really look up to them. Whereas the Aquarius, being the opposite, they don't care. They don't care what people think about them. They just want to be themselves, and they don't want to be trapped in this little box of either doing what the crowd does, following the crowd, being part of the system. They want to be completely free from that. They just want to be able to be themselves, and they don't care what anybody else thinks about it. So here we're looking at South Node bringing in a sense of being used to people looking up to you, being used to being admired, or people, wanting to validating you and wanting to hear your opinions, and the approval, seeking the approval of other people. So you're bringing that into this life. It could be a sense where you feel very comfortable. That's that skills that you could be bringing into this life, is that you're not scared to stand up in a crowd and be heard, and be a leader or have people follow you. You're not scared of that, because that's skills you're bringing in from your past life. That's something that you really can do. But what this life is asking you is to get a bit of balance with that. Not be scared to be yourself in a unique way, and not have to have the validation of the people or people around you. It's asking you to find that balance in this life, and that is the mission that you're looking at. It's about understanding that, okay, you can do something and not have to be validated for it. You can do something and not have to get likes on social media. It's where you have to be free. You have to free yourself from that system of needing other people's approval, needing other people's validation. That's really what we're working on in this life as a mission, having Aquarius in your North Node. So mostly just focusing on being uniquely yourself and not caring what other people think. So here we're looking at being comfortable, being a leader, being somebody that shines above everybody else. There's skills that you could be bringing in. But what the problem here is that if you're not getting that in this life, if you're not getting the recognition, then you could be feeling a bit of a hole, a bit of a feeling of why am I not getting the recognition? And it's because you had that recognition in your past life. So, and you got used to that sense of being looked up to and being validated. But in this life, you may not have it like you had it in the last life. And that can cause a little bit of a hole where you think, okay, why aren't I being heard? Why aren't people listening to me? Why isn't my opinion feel like it matters to other people? And that's because you know the difference deep down in your soul level. You know the difference of people really validating you and really appreciating your opinion, where because you're not getting it so much in this life, you can feel that, okay, I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm not standing out in a crowd. I'm really missing that sense of needing to be validated, needing other people to appreciate me or being validated in some way. So Aquarius is your mission, and Aquarius wants you to do you and not care what anybody else thinks. Okay, so that's the general idea of Leo in South Node and your Aquarius in your North Node. So here we're going to have a look at the houses that it lies in for the chart over here. So we're going to have a look at what planets it is aspecting to take this reading a little bit deeper. But before we do, what we're going to do here is pull a card for the Leo South Nodes. I'm going to pull one of my cards. Now here we're going to be looking at somebody that has Aquarius in their North Node. North Node Aquarians, what is it that you need to focus on in this life? What is your mission and what do you need to focus on in this life? Here is a general energy. It's not actually not tailored to one individual person here. Perhaps it could be Barbara's direct message. Okay, we're looking at psychic skills here, and I feel that is for Barbara. I feel like really needing to trust that. Here we're looking at Leo. Okay, we've got the Leo card come up as well here. Okay, again, it is many options because we're South Node. Leo's in South Node is very broad. Aquarius in North Node missions are very broad. Okay, so here, what we're looking at is a sense of wanting to get your power back, wanting to feel like you're in control. Okay, so it's a desire to feel like you've got the power, you've got control, and that stems from having that power and control in your South Node, in your past life ancestral programming, or in your actual past life. So whichever way you want to look at it, it's some kind of past related to having power, having control, and in this life you're feeling like you're just urging to have that desire of wanting control and wanting power. But there is many options. Like I said, it plays out in many different ways for everybody. And here is also a sense of abundance as well, because abundance is very important to the Leo South Node, is because they had abundance. Perhaps they had wealth, they had luxury, they had status in their past life, or we could even be looking at ancestral programming as well. They were in those lives, or that ancestral DNA, with status, with power, with abundance, with not having lack. But coming into this life, we're learning to perhaps live without that, or perhaps balance our need for that. So we don't have to live for the money. We don't have to live for that sense of power over people. We really only have power over ourselves, and that's what's very, very important as a mission here for you Aquarian North Nodes, is understanding that you really can only control yourself. You can control your own thoughts, you control what you do in this life, and it's not about everybody else, it is only about you. So it's about trying to let go of that sense of having to control everybody else and focusing on just controlling how you are and how you are in public, and not being scared to be yourself, and not having to worry about anybody else's opinion on how you look. Also, in speaking how you look, some of the South Node Leos could still come into this life with a sense of flair, wearing bright colours, you know, looking good. They're very well put together in the way they dress. It's because they're used to that. It's comfort for them. It's comfort for them to have looked good in their past life or in their ancestral DNA, to look a certain way and be well put together, so they could bring that skill into this life, and they could be actually a very well put together person here in this life. So that was the abundance part. Here we're looking at our Leo card, and we're going to look at how fierce the Leo can also be, the fierceness of the Leo. They are protectors of their pride, and that can also be brought into this life as a skill from your South Node, being that you're very protective over your pride, over your family, over the people close to you. You're quite protective over them. So, and you're very powerful. Here's again, we're bringing power back in. You can see here, there's nothing you won't do to protect the people that you care about. And here we're looking at the psychic skills as well, and I feel like we're bringing that in for Barbara. That's something that you're needing to work with in this life as part of your mission here in this life. Now I'm just going to pull a couple of tarot cards as well, just for the people in the North Node Aquarius. Let's see what the tarot has to say for North Node Aquarius. North Node Aquarius, the mission here in this life, your destiny. Okay, this is the life of rest. Here we're looking at rest. I'm going to just do these two cards here. We're looking, okay, this is, first of all, we have got the Page of Pentacles and we have got the Four of Swords. So what I'm seeing here is in this life, it feels very different. You've gone from being a king to being a page, and that's the sense that I'm getting here from you with your South Node, Leo. And not that I'm not saying that everybody was a king in a past life, but it's that sense of power that you're bringing through from your past life or your ancestral DNA. But in this life, you're more like a page. So you're maybe not shining as bright, or you're desiring to shine bright, but you're not shining as bright as you did in your life as a king, where this life is more about being a page. Now there's great lessons that come with that. So there's lessons about, discovering yourself. You can see this young page here. This young page has a lot of living to do, a lot of lessons to learn, finding its way in the world, finding who it is as a person without judgment, who it is as a person without the opinions of other people, discovering that part of yourself about who you really are without anybody else's input, anybody else saying this about you, or taking on what other people think of you. It's truly about you learning who you are in this life. Also, I'm seeing this as a life of rest as well. Here we've got the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is about taking a rest. So it's a little bit of a rest. With great power comes great responsibility, and that South Node Leo had the power in that last life or that ancestral DNA. So great responsibility came with that. Therefore, they had to look a certain way. They had to act a certain way in public. They had to be noted for being of status and carry out themselves in that way. So they walk with a presence of authority or status. Where in this life, it's not about that. You can relax. You don't have to do that. You don't have to, dress up in the most beautiful clothing and hold your head high. Not in this life. This life is the Aquarius. So it's about putting on those leisure wear and just relaxing a little. And it's who cares what anybody else thinks? And that's what you're really trying to get through to yourself in this life. Take a little bit of a rest on yourself. Give yourself a bit of a break. So it's about, being more free with, who you want to be, and not having to care what anybody else thinks. So that is the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo. So stay through to the end if you want to find out how to get your chart up on the screen to go, because we're going to go a little bit further now into Barbara's chart, and we're going to have a look at some other aspects playing out. So this will only apply to Barbara's chart because it's unique to her, and by that we have to have the actual birth time. So that we have to have your location, your birth date, and your birth time, and that we can go a little bit further. We can look at what it is aspecting, what planets it's aspecting everything there on the chart. Okay, let's take a look at the 5th house and the 11th house. So here on the chart that you can see on your screen, Barbara's birth chart, we can see that her South Node is in the 5th house and her North Node is in the 11th house. Now, the significance of the 5th house is that it's where your creations, so perhaps what you created for yourself in that life, that past life. It's also about children. It's about can be gambling here as well. It can be anything that comes with because we're looking at great power in the past life. It's how that power was used. So perhaps, what dark path that could have gone down as far as what was done with the money or what was done with that power. It falls in this house of the 5th house. Now, generally in a birth chart, we look at it in a very positive way, but with a South Node, we're looking at what lessons we're needing to come back into this life to do differently, or what lessons we need to learn. So here we're looking at why is it in the 5th house? It's in the 5th house because there was a certain aspect to that part of life that needs to be rectified or changed or corrected. So here we're looking at, now the 11th house is all about being part of community, being part of the pack, being like other people. So where the 5th house, you need to stand out, you need to shine on your own, so shine in your own right. The 11th house, we're looking at someone that needs to be part of community, part of the greater, greater family, or part of something bigger than themselves. I'm going to pull a card for those with the North Node in the 11th house of community. So needing to work with community, needing to find a purpose in life that's bigger than yourself, something that is not just about your achievements. It's about, this is a place of humanitarianism in here, and it's a place of, being bigger than yourself and having a mission that's, bigger. Okay, here we're looking at the Lovers, so we're looking at working with other people here in the 11th house. So mission here would be integrating yourself, your skills, your experience, your abilities, and working with other people for a greater cause. It's about looking at your options. Here we're looking at the 3 of Wands. So it's about looking at your options and looking at how you can be part of society, how you can contribute to society. Here we have the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. So it's saying that you need to put in the work here in this life, and you need to be able to use your skills and abilities in a very physical way. And let's ground this in now a little bit deeper. Let's go deeper with this reading on a more personal level here. This is an individual reading, so stay tuned at the end and you can see how to get yourself up on the screen to get more of a personal reading. Now we're looking here at Jupiter in the 1st house, so that's really important here, being the 1st house, and Jupiter brings with it a very expansive, so perhaps Barbara could be a person that's be looked upon as being very lucky in her life, being a person that's big personality, because we're looking at the 1st house. So Jupiter's big and expansive, so perhaps she could have a big personality. She could still be bringing in some of that light from the past life, so the Leo energy from the past life, where she shined in her past life. She could be still bringing that through in this life, and in this life she could be a very, a person that shines, person that looks good, person that cares about how well they're put together. They can feel lucky or feel like they can do anything. They just have that ability to be able to do anything or feel like they can achieve anything. Jupiter is in Taurus, so that's very practical. So Taurus is about wanting to feel secure and feeling like you have everything you need in this life. And that's funny because we're really focusing here on our North Node, South Node, which is our purpose and mission in this life this time, as opposed to this comfort and the skills that we're bringing in from the past lives. Now in the past lives, that sense of security would have been there. There would have been and having all your needs met, that you didn't want for anything, you didn't have to desire anything because you had it, you had everything you needed. Where in this life that's also very important, because we're bringing in that 1st house of your ascendant being Taurus, and Taurus really has to feel like they have enough, that they're surrounded by, you know, luxury, or more so than luxury, needs met. So having their needs met in this life. Also can be a person that's very just loves beauty, loves sensuality, loves, you know, the senses, to just take in the smells and the sights and the sound, and really notice that's a big part of that personality, is to, you know, being able to engage in the senses here in the first house. And I'm bringing that in to this reading as part of the mission, only because it is that your past life, you did shine, you did have that sense of security, and you had everything you needed, you felt safe and secure. Where this life, it's really something that you're craving, and that you're perhaps coming into this life with a very important part of you, is that sense of needing to feel secure and safe. Aspect there, it is Jupiter's squaring both the North Node and the South Node, and that's a little bit of a hard placement. So it's saying that while you had that, it could be a little bit of a not a conflict, but a little bit of a tension there caused because perhaps it's not something that you have in this life like you had in the last life. So perhaps, I mean, maybe you've worked hard to build up, and or you've brought in some of those skills from the past, but you weren't born into that like you were in the past life. I'm also seeing it's also fifth house, and fifth house element is something you've created. So perhaps in your past life you created your wealth, you created your status, and having that sense of being able to build something from nothing. And that's perhaps what you've done in this life, because you've had the skills, you know, have the know-how of knowing how to do that. You've done it before, so perhaps you've been able to do that again. But you had that bit of tension there because you worked so hard in the past life to get to a certain place or a certain status, and then, you know, were completely wiped on this new reincarnation, and you don't have that anymore. All that hard work that you've done, hard work being Taurus in the first house, gone. It's not there. So and there's that sense of longing or missing that. And that's what you're bringing through into this life as well. So whether you've worked hard again to create that because you have that Taurus energy as your ascendant, there feels to be some kind of tension there. That tension being that longing to have that sense of status that you had, that you achieved in your past life. Personal level for Barbara, she has her South Node conjunct Pluto. Pluto is all about personal power and overcoming fears. So in that past life, Barbara had to be fearless. She had to be fearless. To create the life and the status that she did in her past life, she had to go very deep and not be scared to stand up and to shine. Not be scared. She had to be fearless in that past life. So bringing through that sense into this life, there could be a bit of because it's opposing the North Node mission. We've got our mission opposing Pluto, and that's a hard aspect. So again, that's a bit of a tension or a bit of a struggle. So therefore, in this life, there could be that slight bit of tension there when it comes to being brave in this world, being brave in this life to carry out your mission, knowing that, you know, there's something you want to do or something you want to be, or you have a mission, a greater mission, because it's the 11th house. It's a house of, you know, community or something bigger than yourself. But it's about having that tension about being brave enough to actually carry that out. What are we also in our North Node? So North Node is opposing Pluto. It is also trining Saturn. So your trine aspect is a softer aspect. It's a more helpful aspect. It is what helps you with your mission. So what's helping you with your mission in this life is your Neptune and your Saturn. Now Saturn is all about being dedicated to your purpose, being devoted, having that sense of duty, having that sense of knowing that there's something that you have to do in this life, and being a person that's willing to buckle down and do the work to achieve your mission. So that's something that's actually helping you with your mission in this life, is that sense of being able to buckle down and do what you have to do to achieve what you're going to achieve. There may be a sense of a little bit of fear in standing up and doing what you have to do, but you know that you have to do it, so you're quite willing to be dedicated and be devoted to your purpose in this life. Now, also helping you is Neptune, and Neptune's all about being without boundaries, so being, you know, that incorporating spirit, incorporating, you know, what's beyond the physical body, so going bigger. And again, with your mission in the 11th house being community and outside of yourself, more than yourself, you could be taking this even further. So I know it's not the 12th house, it is the 11th house, so it is more about community and humanitarian and, you know, just doing something bigger. So it can be, I also have my North Node in my 11th as well, so for me it's about not being scared to do what I'm doing right now and put myself out there to the greater community, you know, to try and help others. So that is my mission in this life. And Barbara, you have a very similar mission, being that you need to be, not to be fearful, you need to be able to put yourself out in the community as well. You need to, you know, find something that, and perhaps you've already done that in your life, perhaps you have already integrated that part of yourself, and that is what you're coming into this life. It's about helping others and helping community. Where the South Node Leo, we're looking at somebody that was themselves, they were powerful in their own right as a person, and you could have been generous in that past life. You may not have been generous, but you had the means, and it was all about you and you standing out in a crowd, because it's also 5th house, so it's also about you being individual and standing out and shining, whereas in this life it's more about how you can help community, how you can help others, how you can be part of something bigger in this life. So that's where we're seeing your mission really coming together here, is because we have Leo shining in the past life, Aquarius in this life, about being connected to other people, connected to community, being not so locked down into other people's opinions. 11th house being community again, about, you know, something bigger than yourself, and 5th house, what you've come from is what you've created, or you standing out, being different to others in a way that you had to be noticed. You enjoyed being noticed, where in this life it's not about enjoyment of being noticed. You don't do this to be noticed. You do this because it's a sense of helping community, helping other people, being part of something else bigger than yourself. So I hope you understand that, and I hope that makes sense to you, Barbara. I'd really love your feedback on what that is, what you're doing in this life to work with those missions, and to work with that North Node in Aquarius in the 11th house. So I'd love to hear how that plays out for you in this life. And me personally, also having my 11th house North Node, what I'm doing now, speaking on YouTube about astrology and about card reading and doing readings for other people, I feel like I'm sharing the gifts that I've brought into this life with other people to help them in some way, and that is me working through my mission in this life. So Barbara, I'd love to hear how you're working with your mission in the 11th house of Aquarius in this life. For Barbara's personal reading here related to her mission and her purpose and her destiny in this life, first of all, I've got the card of goals and stepping stones, and I feel that's related to your Saturn trining Libra in the 6th house. So now Saturn in the 6th house is all about service to others. So we're looking at your relationship to give and take with other people, and you being a giving person, and service to others. So I feel that position of trining helps you with your mission in this life. So your ability to help others, and your ability to want to help other people in this life, and that service to others, that's what helps you with your mission in this life. And it's about the stepping stones and the goals, and the small goals and the stepping stones, which is your Saturn, and actually your sense of responsibility, duty and mission, and carrying out these stepping stones to achieve your mission in this life. And I'm also seeing here the card of something that's done, and it's a sense of having to make amends for what was done in the past. Now that could be ancestral, down your DNA, it could be your actual past, or it could be your past life. It's about something that was done in your past life, and in this life you've got that sense that you need to make amends and you need to make up for it in this life, and that comes through, and that is rectified and healed through service to others, helping other people. That's what helps you with your mission here in this life. Now I'm also finding the cards are saying that you need to find a sense of inner strength and peace and tranquility. So you need to calm that obsession or that need to want to give all of yourself, give everything you have to other people. And that's coming to me from your past life of South Node in Leo, being, you know, a person that had everything, but perhaps you didn't give. And generally Leos are very generous if it's played well, but perhaps it is part of your chart, South Node, that needs to be worked on and healed, because perhaps you weren't generous, but in this life you're feeling like you need to give to others. But what it's saying in this life is that you need to calm those energies and not have to feel like you need to give so much of yourself to everybody else, because I'm seeing here the card of being lethargic and running on empty. So perhaps you're feeling very tired, you're feeling like you're needing to give back to yourself or have others give to you, or you're feeling a need of you're needing more out of life, or you're needing more from other people. And it's a sense of you feeling like you've given so much in your life, you've given to other people, but you're feeling like perhaps you're not receiving as much as what you've been giving in this life. But what it's saying here, especially since we have Libra and we have our let me have a look here. We have our Saturn in Libra in the 6th house trining. So that's all about getting that balance between give and take with other people, especially being Libra. So here it's saying that you need to find that better balance of what you give of yourself to what you receive, or what you give to yourself, as opposed to what you're giving to everybody else. So that will do you great justice in achieving your mission here. But I feel like you're doing a really good job anyway. But I'd love some feedback on what you are doing, how you feel like you're working with others, or how you feel you are service to others, or what you're doing within the community, or on a greater, perhaps bigger than yourself kind of mission. I'd love to hear what that is. But it's saying also here that you've got a sense of time's an issue for you as well. It's almost like you feel like you don't have enough time, or that it's pressing, the matter's pressing. It's almost like you feel like you have to get it done now, you've got to achieve your mission now. And it's just that giving me that sense of urgency as far as your mission. It's really, like, for me personally as well, I'm feeling like the mission really needs to be worked on now. But I'm getting, from your cards, that same sense that you're needing to work on your mission, and it's a matter of urgency with timing there as well. It's really important that you use your skills that you've brought in from past lives, the skills that you have to help others, service to others, to help the greater community, something bigger than yourself, because these are the things that play out in your chart. These are the primary things that stand out in your chart being really big as far as your mission goes in this life. So Barbara, I hope that makes sense to you. Please give me any feedback. Now, as I mentioned in my last reading, I am currently studying with the Sydney School of Astrology. I'm about halfway through, so I'm doing lots of chart reading now to get more fluent. So at the moment, chart readings are free, just so I can get that feedback and get that understanding of how it all works, and also become more fluent with putting it all together. Once I am through my entire course and more fluent with it, full chart readings will be available on my website. This is only a portion of your actual chart. So what we've looked at here is just the North Node and the South Node, just the mission and the past life. That's all we've looked at. But the chart is so expansive. It actually takes hours to go through a full chart and look at all the aspects and areas of your life. So for now, the free readings, I'm really just focusing on missions because that's deeply what I'm into right now. So, and I know everybody wants to know and wants a bit of help with what their mission is in this life. So that's what I'm focusing on. So if you would like to have your chart read, all I need from you is your birth date, your birth time, your birth location. Have to have all of those aspects to be able to get your South Node and North Node. And I'd also love some feedback. I need to know, and that helps me. It helps me learn and it helps me grow. So understanding how these things, because these placements, as I said, for both Barbara and I, we have our placements very similar. We both have our 11th house North Node and our 5th house South Node, but we could be playing out these very, very differently. And that's like everybody that has their North Node in the 11th. It could be very, very different from one extreme to another, how they're actually incorporating that into their life, in this mission, in this life. So I'd love feedback that helps me learn and helps me grow. So thank you so much, and thank you again, Barbara, for letting me put your chart up on the screen.